At a time when the record industry is relying increasingly on video technology to promote its products, rock musician David Bowie has emerged as an important visual artist. In the following interview, accompanied by 5 video music tapes, Bowie considers questions concerning the various aspects of the adaptation of music for television. The interview is conducted by Karen Mecklenburg, a German rock critic working in New York City.
I think video is there to be used as an art form as well as a sort of a commercial device for illustration and promotion. In fact, I fell in love with video in the early 70s when I got a Sony reel-to-reel black and white thing and just sort of videoed everything, whatever. And I got a small editing machine and started playing around with that. And I developed scenarios for an album that I had called Diamond Dogs.
Yes.
I worked with miniature sets and video animation techniques, which I've never seen used since. They're a dreadful failure, but an interesting failure.
What was your method for adapting the song Ashes to Ashes for video?
I always try and work in terms of video. I try and work out a storyline which is not going to just illustrate the song word for word. So I try and develop a counter storyline that has the same kind of weight as the story as portrayed in the song, but is usually deals with different images and different character situations. So I had the idea of the clown as an everyman, the clown as a latter-day kind of astronaut, and I just followed that line in a series of images and incorporating those shady characters that crop up. And I did a storyboard for it, and I worked with pictures illustrating each of the cut situations and also a rough editing plan. And then I get together with David Mallet, who is my collaborator on most of the videos I've done over the last couple of years. And we start working out a more technical plan.
Right. Did your original idea differ from the finished work, and how?
Not very little. It stayed. I think Mallet contributes some ideas in terms of how I can technically change the sky to black and whatever. But apart from the technical side of things, it stays very much the way that I picture it to be, I think.
What drawbacks or advantages did you find working in videotape?
From?
Rather than film.
Rather than film, I find no drawbacks at all. You can't get quite as clear definition in terms of focus. The focus is quite peculiar.
And colouring is a little different.
Colouring is beautiful because there's a pastel quality in video that it takes hours to achieve the same kind of coloration in film.
And you can play with it a little more.
Yeah.
The videotape for boys is quite simple in terms of editing, and it is to a great extent an accomplishment in staging, blocking and costume design. How involved did you get in the designing of the set and the costumes, the characters, and what do they signify?
The set was designed by somebody who's very into discos, and the costumes were not designed, they were found. I mean, we did that one very much at the last minute, and we went to theatrical places to hire the costumes and whatever.
And you looked for the costumes yourself, or?
No, I just gave an idea to the wardrobe people, the different characters that I wanted, and they assembled the stuff. I wanted a girl from the Midlands, a 50s type girl from the Midlands in England, and then a Lauren Bacall type figure, and then a sort of a cross between Garbo Dietrich.
In the later age?
Yeah.
Yes. Many critics of the new trend in video music and video discs challenged the idea of music with pictures, claiming that after 2 or 3 run-throughs, viewing the pictures gets tiresome. Would you agree with this?
I think that again, it comes back to the point about, I think to just illustrate the song in terms of the song itself is a disastrous idea, because people do have their very well formulated inner idea of what the song should look like. So that's why I work very much against the song. The same weight of storyline in sensibility, but not the same storyline per se. I think you have to work fairly hard on conjuring up something that holds up to repeated viewing, that has its own story to tell, very much, that is independent of the song. So even if the sound was turned off, you would be following something that you could be involved in visually. I think that would be the first stumbling block for a lot of artists getting into videos, to try and work out a way of making it durable as an experience.
And maybe with details that you only view after the fifth time, you find out that there's something happening in the left corner.
That's an old device which I favour strongly.
Yes, yes.
Little bits and pieces, little blue cards and things that you
It happened in Ashes to Ashes. By watching again and again, you discover new things.
Yeah.
And that was done on purpose.
Yes, but as long as it remains on cassette, I'm not a great fan of the disc at all.
No, so you're not putting out a video disc?
Not at present, I'm not. Although I think the factor is that it's, well, firstly, at the moment it's in mono. I know that it's supposed to be coming up in stereo. It goes wrong a lot. Also, people can't record on it. I think that's the first thing that they deliberate about when they go to a store. And they ask to see the thing, and they say, well, how do you record on it? And they say, you can't record on it. They'll stay with tape for quite a lot longer.
Yes.
It's not versatile. It's good as a library form, I suppose.
So you see the future in video, and you
I think
see
video
yourself
tapes
involved.
Yeah, I think tapes will come down in price a lot more than they are now, and will be strong competition to disc at any given time.
What can you tell us about any special problems you might have encountered during the shooting, especially the street scenes when you were walking in the midst of a crowd?
There were no real problems. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I think the only thing that was hard to do was to keep the sound going. The sound thing kept breaking down.
Right.
That wasn't very efficient at the time. But as far as walking down the street, no, there wasn't any real problem. Lighting was kind of strange, but actually the different quality between using the film intercut with video was quite effective.
And the people came just towards you, and it wasn't staged or anything?
No,
it just happened the way it did?
Yeah, it happens every night down there, I'm sure.
Do you plan to work on new video projects?
Yeah. I've got several ideas for 1 hour pieces. 1 hour cassettes that join visuals and music at the moment. Nothing more adventurous than that at the moment, but I'd like to try and get that done first.
This question is about the tape Look Back in Anger. This tape seems to illustrate the torment of the artist struggling to come up with an idea. What was your intention?
That was obviously a parody on the Dorian Gray thing.
It was?
Yeah. It was the only unfortunate thing about it is that I didn't have time to do my own painting for it, so somebody else did the painting.
I wanted to ask you, was it a self-portrait?
Well, I just showed the artist little transparencies of my paintings, and he did something that was sort of similar in style to the kind of the way that I paint.
What kind of background do you have in painting?
Green, sort of green background.
What do you mean by that?
I went to art school and all that, and I was working in advertising agencies and
for many
graphic
years.
designers. No, I learnt the saxophone, so I got out pretty quickly and worked with rhythm and blues bands.
The images in the videotape for fashion seem to be held together by choreography.
Yes.
How did you go about working with and directing that many actors?
I worked on the choreography aspect. I plotted out exactly what I wanted. I wanted small groups of people and the coming together and going away between people. And I worked with a fine choreographer from New York called Laura Dean, who worked with me on that one.
So nothing was left to improvisation, it just was...
No, there was a section of the dance that we stated the kinds of movements we wanted, and we didn't want anybody doing the same movement at the same time. That takes place in the club, but that was the only rule given there.
Yes. And this movement you do, like touching the floor?
Yeah, well, I've carried that through a few videos.
What does it mean?
I don't know. It's just... it's a kind of a tenuous link from one video to another.
It feels good to do it?
It just seems strange.
It came up.
Yeah, it's just a movement, and it feels like a...
Almost like a good luck thing?
Yes, sure, right, that's what it is.
Now we know.
Absolutely. You tell me what it means and I agree.
What influence is video having on musicians and composers when they realize that many people first become acquainted with their songs in the form of a visualization on videotape?
I think with some of the younger bands it's had a direct and important influence.
Right.
I think they probably see their music in terms of visuals far more than a lot of more established artists. I think it could produce a very exciting new form of media in the future, something that we're not really aware of at the moment. A new kind of artist could come out of the combination of visual and music.
Right.
Something maybe as important in its own way as rock and roll was when it first created such a heavy effect on America.
Yes.
Something new is due.